I received the last one.
So it must be the wrong day.
I know, I seriously, I was like, oh, what did I do wrong?
right,
But Kevin was here, so.
All right, we're gonna get started with the dirt review board meeting of Thursday, October 4th at 4:30. Roll call, Chad Wenninger.
Here.
Bob Matthews. Cale Pazinski.
Here.
Fred Weicker.
Here.
And Diana Ellenbecker from the city of Green Bay. I will take a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Oh, first was by Chad, second was by Fred Weicker. Next item is approval of the minutes. You should have a copy of the minutes from June 28th and September 6th in your packet. If you had a chance to review that. I think they were.
I sent the Civic Clerk link.
Yeah.
You need like a login or something too, don't you, for that? Because I clicked on it, I wasn't sure if it was a phishing thing, because the county's doing these phishing experiments. So whenever you click on something, I don't know if it's.
Okay, so
I can go get another, some more.
I don't care, so the minutes,
So the minutes are here from the
motion to approve the minutes.
June 28th is in there, and then also the minutes from.
Yeah, it made me put in like a
Motion to
It
approve.
did?
password and everything. And I didn't-
Whatever you
September
resent to me worked. 'Cause
Okay.
I was able to look at
Yeah, I
that.
did.
you know what? I probably sent them the link directly from the city website
not the
instead
public
of the
site.
Civic Clerk
Yeah.
site.
I
So
was
you-
get-
it
I
worked
was
for you?
getting.
You sent a,
I was getting.
we said it didn't work and
Yep.
then you sent something else.
And that worked?
Yeah, for a while there, I was
For
too.
a while.
Right, and that has been corrected.
So
Yep.
I just kind of ignored it, so.
Okay.
If you push you're better off just pushing it.
Okay.
You're pushing it to me directly if you could versus sending it to this thing, because it's, Joe will catch it, I won't.
Okay, so motion to approve the minutes from June 28th, 2018 and September 6th, 2018.
Second.
Okay, we have first by Chad and Chad Weininger, and second by Bob Matthews. All in favor?
Aye.
And that is approved. We are moving on to regular business, and the first item is consideration with possible action and adoption of the territory amendment to the project plan and tax increment District 12 in the I-43 Industrial Park.
All right, so this is TID 12, as we've discussed, adding one parcel to this at the southwest corner of Mason and Erie. In the staff report that I sent out to you, this reflects the Nature's Way project that had 4 parcels, 3 of them were in the TID, 1 was not in the TID. This is to get them all in the TID so that they can move forward with their project in terms of meeting building codes and setbacks and everything with the I-43 piece. With that, in terms of the criteria, just going back, so this went, common council designated RDA to run this process. RDA went through, proposed the territory amendment, had the public hearing. No comments at the public hearing, recommended approval to our common council. Common council adopted a resolution last week at their meeting, and now it's before you today. The JRB criteria, will the desired development occur without tax increment financing? No. Are the economic benefits of new development greater than that cost of improvements? Yes. Are the economic benefits of new development greater than tax increments paid by property owners in overlying jurisdictions? And that is yes. And what we answered in the questions, there's no additional costs that are coming with this project. It will go into the TID, as I mentioned, at about $170,000. The Erie Road project, when all is said and done, will probably assess out somewhere around $15 million. That is based on the tax incentive for that project is a pay-go. So there are no additional project costs that are coming on with this addition. And with that, when all is said and done, this project will add around $15 million. The package TID 12 right now, not including this project, we're at about $75 million worth of increment in TID 12. And just because I know it comes up, second phase of the sewer extension and Erie Road extension should be completed next year. By then, we should have all our costs in order, which we had talked about kind of projecting out how early we can end this TID. And I'm still confident we can end this a few years early. It's just a road project got kicked back to another year because some wetlands, but
Was that
we're still on track.
2020?
I think that's what you're talking about, 2020. Right, because all the costs would come in and the next year be able to finalize the payment.
Can I interrupt real quick? Would anyone like me to print you a hard copy? I could send it to my printer and run down and get them. It's a packet of 134 pages. Anyone interested?
I mean, we kind of went over this before. I was just kind of curious if
Yep.
anything.
There's
changed.
another packet here. Somebody wants that paper copy.
So I'm just
Sorry.
looking through that.
So nothing changed between what you did here and what you went to council.
So I move to approve.
Yep, you're approving the consideration with possible action on the adoption of the territory amendment for project TID 12.
So moved.
So Bob Matthews has a first. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Brent has a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I'm gonna make motions on those that are like slam dunks, Jack, so I'm gonna let you take the risky ones.
Risky.
So the next item is we're moving on to consideration with possible action on the creation of rehabilitation and conservation tax increment District 20, Whitney Park, and adoption of the project plan.
Again, just a recap, this is creation of tax increment District 20. Same process, council has RDA to run this process. They held a public hearing. Nobody spoke. Actually, one individual did speak just about improvements a little outside of this district, but to Bodark Street and just some of the physical improvements that would be needed in terms of pedestrian access around the area. While not in the TID, I think it was just something to take under consideration as we look at project costs moving forward, and eventually, once money is in the TID, using that to do some things like pedestrian improvements. But with that, no changes were made to the project plan. This is a conservation rehab district, just over 50% are in need of rehab or conservation work. With that, after the public hearing, Common Council adopted a resolution creating this TID and is now sending it to the JRB for its final approval. Just some answers to the questions in terms of would the development occur without a TIF? No. Are the economic benefits of new development greater than the cost of improvements? Yes. And are the economic benefits of new development greater than the tax increments to be paid by property owners and other districts? Yes. I just want to provide some clarification. Question number one, where we identified some project costs in there. There's about $6 million worth of project costs, but with that, only $3.3 million is allocated at this time. And really what that is, it's an estimate of the pay-go that will go to these two projects and the cost of administration. So with that, that comes in under our assumptions that those projects will generate about $4.3 million of cumulative tax increment in the TID.
Is there more than one developer in this space, or is it one developer?
So these are two different developers right now. The Whitney School development, it's two projects by one developer, an apartment project and a townhome project, that's by Milwaukee View. And then there's two projects by one developer, GB Real Estate Investments, who is Garrett Bader, who is doing the Whitney Park townhomes and the 901 Main apartments. We've had discussions with some other developers about other potential projects nearby in the area, but without really having those in hand right now, especially if the RDA or city would get involved in the property acquisition, we felt, look, we'll come back if we need to do a territory amendment when those projects are ripe.
So everything is based on the increments based off of those two projects with those two developers. You're saying there's potentially more activity in that area?
Correct.
Or would that require an amendment to the?
There could be potentially more activity. It does incorporate some residential properties that we would see a higher and better use for that are identified in need of conservation or rehab work. Yes.
What was the market rate again for the apartments?
In terms of rents?
Yeah,
Yep.
we talked about this before, I can't remember.
Yep, give me 1 second because I will make sure I'm getting you
You
quoted.
you know what, we've already addressed this.
Okay.
We already addressed it, let's not
Okay.
take up the time. This is probably a motion and a second needed.
Any other questions on the territory, TID 20?
900 to 1,300. Okay.
Yeah, we want to shaking their head, so we.
Well, she asked if no more questions. I said, no, I don't have.
Was that a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve, what, Tid, we're talking about. I forgot.
220, yeah, 20.
The creation and rehabilitation of Conservation Tax Increment District 20, Whitney Park, and the adoption of the project plan.
Yes.
You second? You seconded it, I
Second.
heard you that. I heard you.
All right, so we have a first by Brent and a second by Chad. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. And we're going to move on to number 3, consideration with possible action on the creation of blight elimination tax increment district 21 to 21 Green Bay packaging and adoption of the project plan.
All right, the last is creation, yes, of this tax increment district. This is done as a blight elimination district. It involves approximately 75 acres, 96% are in need of blight elimination. This is being created to facilitate the Green Bay packaging project, construction of a new paper mill, and expansion of their box plant. With that, again, same process. In summer, Common Council designated RDA to perform the actions necessary to create this tax increment district. In September, this board met, get the process rolling. Shortly thereafter, RDA held a public hearing on this creation. There were no comments on that. On September 25th, Common Council passed a resolution adopting the territory and the project plan. Now it's before you today to consider, and I'll restate just for the record, would the desired development occur without tax increment financing? No. Are the economic benefits of new development greater than the cost of improvements? Yes. And are the economic benefits of new development greater than the tax increments to be paid by property owners in overlying districts? Yes. As we talked about costs, about $26 million of potential cost to be paid with tax increments. About $23 million are specifically allocated at this time. Again, some of those additional things that we put in about potential infrastructure improvements could be looked at after there's additional increment in that project.
What is the 23 million? I mean, what is it? Is that going to Green Bay Packaging, or is that just what the city's doing and paying for?
That is going to Green Bay Packaging to reimburse their project costs of basically dealing with environmental remediation, dealing with working in a floodplain, dealing with working some wetland issues, and just additional infrastructure that needs to be done to basically create the rehab on a brownfield
Are the
site.
environmental issues known, or are they known environmental issues, or they're anticipated environmental issues?
Both. I mean, I think it's something like, look, anytime you start digging up along
Right.
the
But I'm just
river.
saying, was that their land, or was that? land?
Yes, so it's always, they are operating on their own footprint, with
Right.
the exception of they are acquiring the feral gas property,
Right.
which they did their due diligence on before
Right,
moving
so
forward with
there's
that.
nothing there.
But
So
otherwise-
anything that they have was created by themselves, but they're
Correct.
to remediate.
Other than, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Other than areas, so like the CN Railroad, the railroad line, there's probably some contamination along there, which will have to be cleaned, but they're the owners. So there's probably is some contamination, but it's not in that area. They've done a lot of their sampling, but they still have to sample right when they dig, so Kevin's right. It's that when they start digging, they don't know what they're gonna find, but when they do it, they're gonna be sampling it.
Right.
And they have 3 options, either the landfill in Chilton, which is like high waste disposal, Outagamie, or all the clean fill will go to another site within Green Bay.
Okay.
But there's other things and concerns. It's a tricky project because it's tight and it's not a green fill, which
Yep.
would be really easy.
Yep, understood. Okay, thank you. I was just want to
Yeah,
clarify.
so to clarify the numbers, about 22 million is a pay-go that gets reimbursed to them to reimburse. They have to spend the money up front on some of these
Okay.
costs, gets reimbursed to them, and then just under $1 million is for just administration over the life of the TID.
Okay. I make the motion to, on creation of blight elimination tax incremental District 21, Green Bay Packaging adoption of project plan.
Second it.
We have a first by Bob Matthews, and we have a second by Brent Waker. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Before we adjourn, I mentioned in my email, the reason tax increment District 17 isn't on here. Those closures happen calendar year 1/1/19, so there may not be even a reason for us, I'm glad to have another meeting. We actually just do it, if I'm correct, in spring. I think we did February last year, where we'll take it through our council to shut that one down. But we had our process here. It's just the time frame. You have to get those in by June, so it'll be done early in 2019 to close that one down.
How much is that gonna, or is that a 0 one, or is that
It's
like
hopefully a net zero. That's the one I talked about. There may be some litigation involved,
Okay.
and that's when we want to kind of figure out where that falls before we close it.
I was just thinking budget-wise.
Correct. And it shouldn't be
It's got a negative fund balance at this point.
like, what, 150?
Right now it's at about 60,000, but future project costs another 40,000, future revenues, so it was at some point going to spin out and be a positive fund balance, but
We've got about 60 to cover.
it doesn't close, it doesn't have a term date until 2035.
Right. But it's built out, and there's not going to be, it is what it is, I guess.
Currently getting,
The
well, it's
district,
currently
right.
getting $6,100 with the increment, and we still have about 3,000 annually debt service on it.
Right.
So, over the life of it, it would eventually be favorable. But no new growth.
Motion adjourned.
So moved.
All right, first by Bob Matthews, second by Brent, all in favor?
Aye.
No.
Unless they hang out.
All good, thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you, guys. 0-0, after the third.
Okay. So,
Excuse me.
Thanks.
That's what he's really looking at his computer.
Right? No.